You are watching In Conversation with Ryan Payton on the Fired Up Network.
All right, that's going to get you going, and so too is my guest. Good to have you back on the show, folks. Always appreciate the watch, the listen, however and wherever you may be doing it. Chris Ivey, I've had him on before, Director of Sports Auctions for Heritage Auctions. There's a really neat thing coming up at the end of this month, the 26th and the 27th. It's a Winter Platinum Night Sports Auction, and he's here to discuss that. We're going to go down memory lane with all these great names, namely Jackie Robinson. And I've had Chris on before. We've always had a great chat. Good to see you again. How are things?
Going well. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, always appreciate the time. Before we get into this, because there's so many great names, and the times that we've done this before, I always come away with it remembering just how great some of these athletes have been over time, and the memorabilia that you have and that you've seen. So Jackie Robinson won. We'll talk about Michael Jordan, all these greats too in a second. But let me ask you this. So the numbers came out on the Super Bowl. Was Chris one of the 112.3 million that tuned into Super Bowl Sunday?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I'm a sports fan. I love this stuff. So, I mean, I'm a, Matt Stafford's a Dallas guy. And so,
Yep.
it was fun watching that and then seeing the talent that Joe Burrow, I mean, being able to overcome, what was it? 7 sacks?
7 sacks. Yeah.
Almost get a win. It's just I was just rooting for a good game, and it certainly delivered that.
And you know what? Yeah, I know you're a sports fan. And for the last, 5, 6, 7 weeks, however long the NFL playoffs were going, that's, Chris, some of the best, not only football I've seen in successive weeks, but some of the best playoff action in any sports league. Every single game. And this one, too. It pretty much came down to the end, 4th and 1. Since he had a chance to get that first down, maybe go down the field, kick that game-time field goal, it didn't happen. But, man, the NFL's looked really good these past few weeks.
They really have. I can't imagine they have to be extremely pleased with just the fan engagement and then the games that were delivered. Except for that first week, I think it was the wild card, the first week that most of the games were pretty lopsided. But man, from then on, just must see football. Absolutely.
Halftime show, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I loved it. That was high school.
Yeah, me too.
Me, right?
Me too. Yeah, I was saying that yesterday. It took me back. I was thinking, okay, I remember when that came out and this came out and what I was doing, and I thought it was great because the halftime show is a massive part of the Super Bowl, as you know. And I think what they did, they related to not just people today, but for us, for example, kind of took us back to when we were younger. So it was really nice.
Yeah, they did a great job with it.
Yeah. Chris Ivey joined me. Okay, let's get into what the reason why you're on the show with me again. Heritage Auctions, Winter Platinum Night Sports Auction coming up the 26th and the 27th of this month. This is booming. Every time I have you on, one of the things is we always talk about how the sports memorabilia business is just booming and it's thriving. I know a bit about your background. Take those who haven't seen you, heard you yet, kind of into the background on how you landed to this point, and then we'll dive into more of the specifics.
So early on, right after school, I joined a company called Sports Card Guarantee. They're known as SGC in the industry, and they're one of the largest third-party grading firms. So from that, I learned how to. I mean, I grew up in sports collectibles. I grew up collecting cards. 86 Fleer Jordan was my holy grail as a kid, and so I would grow up going to coin shows with my father, and I would always find myself in the back corner of the room with the sports collectibles. No interest in coins or currency growing up. But after college, I went to SGC, got my feet wet, learning how to grade in the industry, and then eventually came to join Heritage, started using their capital to buy and sell. And then in 2004, I went to the partnership group here, and I launched the sports auction division for Heritage at that point. And we did $2 million in our first year back in 2004, and we surpassed $200 million in sales last year. So we've had nice growth over those nearly 20 years. And yeah, as you alluded to, the market continues to grow. We're going to talk about some wonderful pieces coming up at Platinum Night, and you will notice that, there's been some a zero or two added to some of these our estimates
I
for what
did.
we expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the great thing about Platinum Night is this is the best of the best. I mean, it is all 5, 6, and 7 figure items
Yeah.
that are the, as I said, the creme de la creme that the hobby has to offer. So it's really fun being able to promote these items, to really shine them in the best light. Go through the photo matching process is something we're going to talk about, I'm sure,
Yeah.
here as well, and see if we can set some world record numbers for these items at auction.
What is it, before we get into the names and about the specific items that are going up? What is it for you? I know this is part of your history and growing up, etc. But what do you get most out of what you do? Because I'm sure there's quite a bit, right? You're just in heaven all the time, looking at all these items and thinking, wow, there's so many great pieces out there. But what is it for you that you come away with at the end of it every day that you deal with this?
That's an interesting question. It's not one I typically get here, but it's the stuff is great. I love the
Yeah.
stuff. I'm a history major. I love learning about items and history through stories, and so I feel like we're storytellers for this material, and
Yeah.
we're putting it out there on the internet, in our auction archives for future generations to see and understand these items and their significance. So I think that's fun for me. At the same time, it's a job like any other. So
Hmm.
there's absolutely things that that are not fun sometimes,
Right.
but luckily that's outweighed. And I think the thing that I get most out of it is helping people. We get thousands of inquiries every day
Yeah.
for people that are looking for valuations, and is this something of value, or my father passed away and he left this behind. So being able to assist people to maximize the value of this material at auction and provide a service to them, where they may not know how to go about it or what it's
Hmm.
worth or anything like that. That's really the most fun part, is to take something and help someone, and really market it and give them a result that they had no idea that this old item that hung up in their grandfather's house could be worth,
Yeah.
five, $10,000, $15,000. You never know. So that's the most rewarding part of it.
And their faces at the end of that, when they hear that, are just astonished, right? Because wow, I had
Absolutely.
that great piece, and that must be intimidating too for some of these people. They just don't know where to begin, and that's where, of course, you come in, and with what you do. Okay, Jackie Robinson, the name, of course, don't even have to give the intro, but synonymous with not only baseball but breaking the color barrier as well. There's some neat things with Jackie, and there's been this growing demand, if that's the right word, for Robinson collectibles, right?
Yeah, there certainly has. I mean, he's one of the most well known, obviously, in the game. He's the only number that's retired in every
Yeah.
MLB park, and that's because of what he did, the courage that he showed, breaking the color barrier in baseball. And so, one of the top lots in the auction is interesting because it's really a look into his mindset when he first made that decision in 1946 to sign with the Dodgers and go to their minor league affiliate in Montreal. It's a 1946 American Baseball Bureau questionnaire, and it's filled out by Jackie. And obviously, it asks questions about his background and just statistical information primarily.
Yeah.
But one of the questions is, who's your biggest influence in baseball, and his answer to that was Branch Rickey, which is very
Yeah.
interesting. And obviously,
Yeah.
him and Branch had a very close relationship when they decided. I mean, it was a team effort for what they were doing, and really. The touchstone of the piece is the question of what's your ambition in baseball, and Jackie's response to that is to open the door for Negroes and organized ball. So right there, you get to see this is the Genesis
Yeah.
document
I just got
of
chills.
Jackie Robinson's.
I just got some chills, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is the Genesis. This is him putting
Yeah.
pen to paper with exactly what his goals were for going through this. And so this was 46. I mean, this was his first week signing with the Dodgers and deciding this is the path he's going to take. And then obviously we all know what happened just 1 year later. on April 15th, 1947, when he played opening day for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And to lead into the next item is a ticket stub from that game. 1947 Brooklyn Dodgers debut ticket stub featuring Jackie Robinson's debut in the major leagues, and that item is it's graded. It's a PSA 2. It actually comes from the same collector that had the questionnaire. He was a big Jackie Robinson fan, and so some of the Jackie items in this auction, the single signed baseball, the Leaf rookie card, the questionnaire, and this ticket stub all belonged to the same consignor. This tickets have been incredibly hot as well, as I'm sure you may be aware.
Yeah,
this one it's one of only two that's graded this high. There's none graded better than a 2, and our estimate on it's 100,000 plus, but it's currently at 185,000, and wouldn't be surprised to see that push even further. And I didn't mention on the questionnaire document, our estimate on that's $1 million plus, and that's already currently sitting at over 1.3 million. So there might still be some action on that. I mean, that document, it really, I love sports collectibles, and it's clearly a sports collectible, but it's one of those items that crosses over into popular culture,
right?
And would have a welcome spot in any national museum based on its significance.
He was and still is. I mean, he'll never be forgotten. And just when you said that what he wanted to do was help pave the way for black players to play baseball, he knew right away. And we can only imagine what he went through. We've seen stories. I've heard so many tales about that. And boy, the legacy just continues. The whole ticket stub thing intrigues me a bit. Go into that a little bit more, because for maybe the amateur collectible person who has, say, a signed baseball and a ticket stub, they may think, okay, I could get much more for a signed baseball. It's bigger and may mean a little bit more as compared to a ticket stub. Is that a fair assessment to somebody who may not know about how much a ticket stub could be worth?
Yeah, I mean, ticket stubs were, they're fun mementos, and a lot of people, I know I keep all mine. I try to keep every.
Do you?
And,
Wow.
and so that's one, just something that when I started going as a kid, and I guess that's just the collector mentality in me,
Right.
is maybe I'll save this at 30 years later. Not that it necessarily would have any value as a collectible, but more so just the memory of going to that game.
Right.
So, and I think a lot of people are like that with ticket stubs, but they've never really been. They've never gotten too much love, so to speak, in the collectibles field. As far as there were certainly collectors for tickets, but they weren't getting the investment, the big value, and we're certainly seeing that now, because I think with the advent of ticket authentication and grading,
Right.
it's the same thing that we saw with cards over the decades. As you start getting the population reports, you start realizing how scarce these items actually are. And it's that thing that connects the fan to the event and to the sport. So you know that this ticket stub was there at Ebbets Field in 1948 when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, and that's pretty cool. That's a direct connection to history right there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what really interests collectors on that front.
There's been many incredible baseball players and polarizing figures. One of them is Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle could hit the you-know-what out of the baseball. We know some of the issues and different things he had off the field, and he had to retire. He was just all banged up and all injured. But some of the other ones, too, with this platinum event, his first Topps card and a jersey worn in 1968 when he hit out his 535th home run. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, so his 1952 Topps is one of the the most well-known issues and the most collected issues. It was a game changer, both for Topps and for card collecting going forward, and that we moved to that standard that standard sizing and the stats on the back with some details, personal details about the player. They incorporated autographs on the front. So there's a lot of things that Cy Berger brought to the table with that iconic 1952 Topps issue. And then, of course, the Mickey Mantle rookie card is the key of that. So, yeah, in this auction, we have a PSA 8. that's being offered. Our estimate on that's 1.5 million. And really, the 52 tops Mantle, goes the way of the market. That's really the first item that started, I would say, in 2014, 2015, started creeping up to that $500,000 level. And once it hit that level and started moving beyond, I noticed that's when we started getting more investors involved in this collectibles market. Being able to buy something that's unique, it's iconic, and it's rare. There's only 3 PSA 10s, 6 PSA 9s, and if I recall correctly, there's about 32 PSA 8s of the 52 tops Mantle. So you think about that. There's less than 50 high-grade examples in the world.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
these represent, yeah, and they represent, again, the best of the best condition-wise. Because as a lot of collectors know, even as 52 tops came out of the factory, if we got in a time machine and went back to a Woolworths in 1952 and bought a pack of 1952 tops, I would imagine that most of those cards wouldn't even grade 9 or 10 out of the pack, just because of the issues that they had with printing back then and centering and all those things. So to have these particular ones that lasted 7 years and are in such amazing condition is a lot of fun.
If they included the gum back then, that's all that really mattered, right? Doesn't matter about the I mean, that's part
That's
of it,
right.
I guess. Yeah. Hey, have you ever seen the film 61, the chase between Maris and Mantle?
It's been a while. It's been a while, but I did see it. Yeah.
It was intriguing. It was intriguing, and we talked about Jackie Robinson and what he went through. I know Roger Maris went through something different, but nobody wanted Babe Ruth's record to be broken, and he took a lot of it. They wanted Mickey Mantle to do it, but it ended up being Roger Maris, of course, with 61. Anyway, next time you're on, we can maybe go back down that road. What about even going back further? Ty Cobb, one of the most fierce players in the game. There's that iconic picture, Chris, that I picture all the time when I think about him. Cleats up as he's going into third, I think, when he's stealing the base. There's dirt all around him, all that stuff. Honus Wagner as well. So those are 2 of the rarest baseball cards, right, with Cobb and Wagner?
Yeah, these are come from the Plows issue, which there's only, I believe there's only like 3 dozen or so examples that have been known and graded. This came from Plows Candy, and the manufacturer, that ran the company. He was infatuated with baseball cards, and so he wanted to create his own. And these actually, for the time, were extremely expensive premiums. If you bought Plows Candy, you could send in money to buy these premiums, which is one of the reasons. I mean, it cost them a lot to make. I think the company actually lost money based on the production of the cards and what they were selling them for to their clients. But even with that, there aren't a lot of examples known out there, which is what makes these offerings so cool, is that these represent the highest, the best known example of Ty Cobb and Honus Wagner in the hobby, and they're just beautiful cards, really well done. And so yeah, we're excited to be offering those for the first time.
You mentioned as well, we talked a lot about baseball and some of the greats. Also, Michael Jordan. You have something with his 1984 debut, and then you have specially altered 86 game-worn Air Jordans as well. Anytime you mention the name Michael Jordan, everyone starts thinking about the greatest of all time, and I'm sure anybody would love to get their hands on something that he wore at some point over that career.
Yeah, well, those sneakers, I mean, they represent just the pinnacle, because again, it's pop culture. There's the whole sneakerhead, movement, and Air Jordan 1s are really kind of the genesis of that movement. Those actually raised Jordan to another level, and he's still a billionaire based on the success of his partnership with Nike and the Air Jordans. But these were the beginning of that, the Air Jordan 1s, and so these are the only Air Jordan 1s that are actually photo matched to be on Jordan's foot in a game. Wow. And we know that these sneakers were worn on April 1st, 1986, when after Jordan, earlier in that season, he had broken a bone in his foot.
Yeah.
and had to sit
Oh, I
out
remember
most of
that.
the season.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So these were worn against the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee on April 1st of that season. We know that because they're photo matched, and there's actually a defect in these sneakers that allowed us to or allowed the third party company to be able to photo match it, and that's on the right shoe on the interior. One of the eyelets where the shoelace goes through wasn't punched through, so there's no eyelet there, and that's the case on these sneakers as well. There's also a white smudge from Game Action, white stain that's also photo matched to these sneakers. So Air Jordan 1s worn by Michael Jordan himself in Game
Yeah.
Action, photo matched, just doesn't get any better than that. And then there's one, and you mentioned the soles as well. These
Yeah.
were coming back from injury, so Nike actually specially made these sneakers with a different type of sole that was a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more padding on Jordan's foot, just to make sure that there wasn't any damage done, and that it was safe during during his rehab and as he was coming back. And I will in this game, Jordan was in full Jordan mode. He played 26 minutes and scored 28 points. So he had a great
Typical.
game as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Tongue out, probably just flying like he always used to. When I think about Jordan as well, I also think about the draft, and how Portland took Sam Bowie ahead of Michael Jordan. Hakeem Olajuwon went number one, and I don't know how long Sam lasted in the NBA. Not very long, I don't think. But Portland's probably kicking themselves still to this day how many championships that they could have that they could have won.
but Portland had Drexler at the time, so
That's
they
true.
didn't.
Yeah,
They thought
yeah.
they had their shooting guard.
And then I forget what final was it that Portland played Michael in Chicago. It was the early '90s, I think. They took
Early
on Portland,
'90s.
so kind of like, and I
Yeah.
think that one of the games was when Michael just kept hitting three after three, and there was one shot. You may remember this after he knocked down a three. He did this. He said, "I don't know. It's great. Remember that?" I said, "Yeah, I
The
don't know."
shrug.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the shrug.
yeah.
Well, it is. It is what it is, and I am who I am. So, you mentioned photo matching.
Uh-huh.
Just explain that a little bit more, and the process. Is it a lengthy process?
It is lengthy for the services that are going through it, because
Right.
they really obviously have to have a great eye for detail, and they go through hundreds, if not thousands, of photographs from certain seasons to see if they can get an image that's of high enough quality that they can blow up and find specific details on the way the thread. I mean, what they've been able to do and the ways that they've been able to match items is pretty incredible. We had a Mantle jersey that we sold in the last year, and it had been sent to the minor leagues. So the New York had been removed. This is a road jersey, so there weren't pinstripes. The New York had been removed from the front at one point. The 7 had been removed in the back. You could still see the remnants of it, and the jersey still had Mantle's name tag in it, so we knew it was an authentic Mantle. But based on the fabric that they created the gray jersey out of, you could see in some photography kind of the blue and gray lines and how they lined up, and based on that they were able to photo match. That's one of the coolest photo matches I've ever seen. We have a Mantle jersey in the current auction that's photo matched to his final game in 1968, his final Yankees game, and that's one, again, we're estimated $1 million plus, but this is it. Collectors love the beginning and the end, right?
Yeah, there's a
So
story. Yeah.
there is no 51 Mickey Mantle jersey. There's no rookie jersey known, but
Yeah.
to have the last jersey that he wore and that we know is photo matched to multiple home runs towards the end of his career is a very cool piece, and will get a lot of interest. Now, the photo matching, they just, again, they just spend the time to go through those images, and a lot of the services, they have rights with a lot of the photo imaging services to be able to use their images for these purposes. But it's the ultimate assurance for a collector, right? There
Right.
used to
Right.
be, there's third-party opinions on autographs, and there's third-party opinions on authenticity based on our known exemplars. But to be able to definitively say, here is an image of the athlete using this particular item that's the pinnacle for collectors. And you definitely see a premium paid for those items that are able to be photo matched.
Last one before we let you go. It's so good to go down memory lane, as I said off the top of this with you, because we can talk sports obviously forever, which is what I do, and you love sports too. You're talking about numbers. A lot of the ones we spoke about, 1 point this, 1 point that. Are you looking at, by the time it's all done, the 26th and the 20th? I mean, how much total money do you think will be put up by the time all these items are hopefully sold?
In this particular auction?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be 20 to 25 million. I think we'd be looking at, which is incredible. I was
Right.
talking to some of the guys on my team, who 5 years ago our big goal was to hit 10 million for a platinum
Yeah.
night, and that was, we were popping champagne, when we got to that level. And I feel like just in a real short amount of time, we just skipped the teens and went, now we're looking at $20 million for a successful platinum night. So,
Amazing.
it's been interesting. I'm really glad to see that, we've always felt this stuff is amazing and undervalued. So I'm glad to see that it's getting its due and people are seeing it for the true historical value that it has and investment potential. It's the amount of new people getting involved in collectibles, not just sports collectibles, but we're seeing it in all categories across the board here at Heritage. Right. It's really fun to see, and people generally viewing it as an alternative asset. And rather than putting money in more traditional assets like real estate or Wall Street, which I'm sure most of these people have investments there as well. But this is, you can't hang IBM stock on the wall, but you can put a, you can put a cool Mickey Mantle jersey or a baseball rookie card on your wall, and it's a great conversation starter. It's a little bit like a piece of art. So it's really fun seeing this stuff really get its due.
I'd much rather ask about that than the IBM stock. That was funny on the on the wall. Where can people find you, and a little bit more too about Heritage Auctions?
Yeah, this auction is currently open. We are at ha.com, so it's a very simple website. And our Platinum Night auction is open for bidding and closing in 11 days now, February 26th and 27th. So it all culminates with an extended bid auction. So you got to get in there early, get bids on items that you like, and then on Saturday the 26th at 10 p.m. Central Time, it'll move into extended bidding. And all that means is that you have to have bid on that item previously to be able to participate in extended bidding. And if no one bids on the lot for 30 minutes, that lot closes. But every time someone does place a bid, it'll extend for 30 minutes. And so, yeah, it's an exciting way to close an auction. And we've been doing it for years here, and the hobby loves it.
And more stories will be told on the 26th and the 27th with all these items. Chris, Director of Sports Auctions for Heritage Auctions, thanks so much. Always love having you on, and we'll do this again, I'm sure, because there's always so much to talk about. So thanks again.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, Chris Ivey, Director of Sports Auctions for Heritage Auctions. Going to be a lot of fun. The Platinum event coming up at the end of the month on the 26th and the 27th. We're done. We're coming back with another edition of In Conversation next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.